Welcome back, everyone. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And today I have a video for you called The People versus Trump. And I'm going to show you some charts that I think you'll find very interesting to help you understand what's coming in the future. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Click like on this video, share with friends and family, and leave your comments below. Okay, so let's look at what's happening with the June 5th full moon eclipse, which is today. That's when I'm recording this video and posting it. But you have to understand that eclipses are incredibly powerful. So even though we're going to continue to see things unfold, which we've been watching for the past week or so, all related to this June 5th full moon eclipse, it will continue for a bit longer, but also because eclipses bring like long-term dramatic life changes. This isn't just going to pass in a few days. This is something that is instigating the profound transformation that our country is going through. So it's like it knocks a domino and then it just starts clicking off dominoes down the line. There are three things in this chart I want you to see. The first is up here, which I talk about so often, the effect of Uranus, because Uranus brings revolution and change. And it's conjunct the vertex at the exact moment of the eclipse in Washington, D.C. and Black Moon Lilith. And we have been watching this, ever since George Floyd's murder. And it's just been, over a week of protests every single day, day and night, around the country and around the world. And yes, there was some violence, but it's definitely toned down now. And but the anger and the desire for change is definitely still there. So this is really, really important. And the opposition to Saturn is still here as well. And this forms a T-square to his Pluto, which is his sense of power in his natal chart. Okay, Pluto represents your sense of power in your natal chart, and it's being impacted by this T-square, the opposition of Saturn, and the square of all these planets up here, including at this point Uranus, the vertex, and Black Moon Lilith. And just so you understand, this is the revolution up here that we're watching unfold. This is they are squaring off against his power. This over here is authority, established authority, but a lot of the established authority is retreating from Donald Trump, taking their support away from Donald Trump. So this is a long-term transit and square and T-square to his Pluto that will continue all the way up to Inauguration Day. Now, I don't know if he will be the next president inaugurated in 2021. As I've said, I'm not making any predictions about that. But I do want to point out that Joe Biden's Pluto is in the same place. So regardless of who the president is, this change is coming. This revolution is coming because it's not about the personality. It's about the system. And this system, this capitalist system, economic system, political system, social system, all of these systems need to be transformed, okay? Because they are not fair. And we are seeing, what happens when you have a system that is based in scarcity and a widening wealth divide. That gap between the haves and the have-nots has been growing. It's always been there. It's historic, but it's gotten worse in the past 40 years. The gap started to widen in the 70s, and then because the economy was so bad, people elected Ronald Reagan thinking that he could make it better, but he actually ended up making it worse. And from the point that Reagan took office, so he was elected in 1980, and for the past 40 years, that gap between the haves and the have-nots has grown wider and wider and wider. And which means that even you, most of you watching my channel, have probably seen your standard of living, your buying power decline. Over time, most people's standard of living improves just because they're able to accumulate wealth. But for a lot of people, either it hasn't been moving or it's gone backward and they've actually lost buying power. So because the middle class is basically being destroyed. You know, it's the idea of the 1% and the 99%. And so that gap is just getting wider and wider and wider. And I think anybody who's paying attention can see the truth of that. And then you add to it the racial inequality, and people of color are just suffering disproportionately, and have always suffered disproportionately. So this system has to change, and that's the whole point. It's not about stimulating the economy. It's not about tweaking the economy. It's not about Democrats versus Republicans. It's about changing the system completely. The old capitalist system that has created this wealth divide and this unfairness, this injustice, where the poor are always suffering the most. The poor are always punished the most. The poor always take on the greatest brunt of the economic downturns. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So that has to stop, because we're seeing what happens when you have that kind of gap between the haves and the have-nots. We've been watching that play out, and it's horrific. And if we don't address this problem, if we don't deal with our nation's transformation and the Pluto return, we will literally implode. We will eat ourselves alive. And I don't think any of us want that. I know none of us want that. So, so again, this isn't about Donald Trump, actually. You know, if he is the person who's inaugurated in 2021, then he's the one who will have to face the brunt of this. If it's Joe Biden who's elected, he's the one who will have to face the brunt of this. Either one will have to, because they both have their Pluto in the same position, which is in the T-square to these planets. Okay, so which is calling for a systemic revolution, a systemic transformation, not just a tweaking, not just a personality coming in and saying, hey, I'm a nicer guy. The other thing to look at here is that Neptune is squaring his nodes, and that's going to continue all the way up to Inauguration Day. That's not changing. Neptune moves slowly, so it will just move maybe a couple degrees this way or a couple degrees that way, but it will stay around 20 degrees, which is the exact square to his nodes. And when this goes retrograde and makes it perfects an exact square to his nodes at 20 degrees, 48 minutes, I'll make a video about that so we can see what's happening when it's exact. But it kind of doesn't matter, because it's close enough to exact, so it's having the same effect. And this is a long-term transformation, a long-term trend, a long-term T-square. And then there's also the opposition of particularly Pluto. Pluto will be hovering at this point for a long time, making opposition to his natal Saturn and Venus. So those are the three most important things to look at, especially this boomerang yod. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, so that's today. And again, this will last for a long time. So even if you're watching it after June 5th, it doesn't matter. It's still impacting, because eclipses, they just go on and on and on and on and on. Like, you don't even see the full impact for at least 6 months. And then we'll look at the election day chart. And after the election day chart, I'll pull up the inauguration day chart, just in case. All right, so let's look at that on Trump's chart. And we see the opposition is still really super, super intense. And part of the reason is because of the infection, the illness is is more intense at this point here in November. So that's going to definitely have an impact. And we still got the T-square of Neptune to his nodes. And we've still got Uranus and Black Moon Lilith up here forming the square to his Pluto, squaring off to his Pluto. So those three things are still in effect. And let's go look at the Inauguration Day chart just in case. This is the most intense one. And because this is the revolution up here. This is what we've been watching unfold for the past week, both peaceful and violent. They're all mixed in together in a sense. I know that these are different people, they're different groups, but from an astrological perspective, it's all mixed together. So Uranus is revolution. Black Moon Lilith is about the shadow, our shadow. Mars is the warrior, can get very violent. And the moon is the people and their emotions and their subconscious. So that's all mixed together. That's like TNT. That's like a nuclear bomb getting ready to go off. But that's the people, understand. I'm not talking about a real nuclear bomb. I'm just talking about the people and their demand for change. And it's squaring off against the Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter conjunction. And this is the establishment right here, okay? So it's the people squaring off against the establishment. But this forms a T-square to his Pluto, which is his sense of power. So he's got it both as an opposition and as a square. So if he somehow is the one being inaugurated in 2021, I don't think he can survive, or I don't want to use the word survive. I mean, I don't think he can complete his second term under these kind of conditions. I don't see how he could possibly complete his second term. And still the Neptune square to his nodes, and still the Pluto opposition to his Saturn, Venus, and conjunction to his vertex, which is fate, and the boomerang yod, which is a little bit harder to see because it's not as clean. It's a little kind of more scrambled in this chart, but you can still see it there. All right, so I will leave it at that. And I just wanted to point out one more time that even if Joe Biden is the one being inaugurated, he still has to deal with the T-square to his Pluto, okay? Because his Pluto is basically in the same place as Trump's. So again, this isn't about the personality. It's about changing at the systemic level. The people are squaring off against the establishment, and they're saying, no more. We will not put up with this inequality anymore. Okay, so that's what's gonna, now we have a glimpse. Now we know, okay, because, I've been talking about it theoretically for a long time, and people say, well, what is it gonna look like? Is it gonna be violent? Please tell us. And I said there would be pockets of violence, and now, we've seen it in action. I think this one's gonna be even more intense on Inauguration Day than what we've seen so far. So that is a little bit scary, but my last video was called "This Too Shall Pass," and it's true. And I've started now looking ahead to the election and inauguration for 2024 and 2025, and it is the alignments are so much more beautiful in 2024 and 2025. And so for me, that was comforting because I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And these kinds of changes don't happen like that. It takes time, and we're only at the beginning of it right now. So we've got as one door is closing and the next door is opening, the next door that opens will be a much better world, but there's a long hallway in between, and that transformation is going to be challenging. But it has to happen. It absolutely has to happen, because if it doesn't happen, like I said, we will eventually implode and eat ourselves alive. All right, so that's it for today. I hope that was helpful. I'll keep making more videos around this because we're into some really challenging but also very exciting times, and I'm very, very hopeful about where this country will ultimately end up, because I do believe we're going to address these issues, and we're going to find a better way to build our economy and our politics. Okay, so as I said before, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, click like on this video, share with friends and family and on social media, and leave your comments below. And also please subscribe to my other channel, Financial Freedom. There's a button here at the end of the video or below, and I'm building that channel. I'm going to start putting out more and more videos about how we can become financially free and how we can build a new economy that's more fair. Okay, that's it for today, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.